J-Hope recently dropped a bomb on all of us and said that he was going to be the next one to begin the military enlistment process. And I don't know about you all, but I was super, super shocked. And but before I could really think about it too much, it turns out that he's going to be releasing this song today on the street. Super excited about it, so let's watch it.
Every time I work, every time I run, every time I move, as always for us. Every time I look, every time I love, every time I hope, as always for us. 내두 발은 선택걸어 anywhere, J in the air. 그는 길이 희망이 되고자 하연하고 태어 입은 my world was made of your love in your face 보답을 해. 저 멀리서라도 나비가 돼. Just walk lightly whenever you want. Go on hopefully wherever you walk. 누군가의 숨이 깃들여 있는 거리 내 영혼과 영원을 담을게 everywhere. Every time I walk, every time I run, every time I move, as always for us. Every time I look, every time I love, every time I hope, as always for us. Every time I walk, every time I run, every time I move, as always for us. Every time I look, every time I love, every time I hope, as always for us.
Oh, that's where the whistling's coming from.
Oh, hell, the mighty survivor of hell. Plop down from heaven to sail. Holy water that I scooped from the well. Fought tooth and a nail just to prevail. Monster ruthless as I move through the field. Feeling worried, in a hurry like a 2-minute drill. To make a couple mil off a lucrative deal. Selling train of thought, name an artist who could derail. You never see it like a nigga hula hooping in jail. I got a friend smart as fuck, but he's stupid as hell. He swear that God ain't real, since it ain't no way to prove it itself. As if the universe ain't enough. As if the volcanoes ain't erupt. As if the birds don't chirp. As if a trillion nerves don't work in a human body. Shit, who would I be without the creator of this theater beside me to gently guide me? Some days I wonder if I need to pick a different hobby. I'm deep in with this rapping, that's all a nigga know. I never did nothing better, it's hard to let it go. But like a father watching his daughter walk down the altar with tears in his eyes, you gotta let her grow. And so I shall, but first I've been honing my style. Coders around with more quotables than what the quota allows. You see a top 10 list, I see a golden corral, nigga. As the moon jumps over the cow, I contemplate if I should wait to hand over the crown and stick around for a bit longer. I got a strange type of hunger. The more I eat, the more it gets stronger. The more it gets stronger. I said the more it gets stronger. J-Hope, Cold World.
Every time I walk, every time I run, every time I move, it's always for us. Every time I look, every time I love, every time I hope, it's always for us. Every time I walk, every time I run, every time I move,
Is
it's
that New
always
York
for
or
us.
Chicago?
Every time I look, every time I love, every time I hope, it's always for us.
Oh, man.
Right.
Ah.
Okay, so I have some things to say right off the bat, Donna.
Okay, go for it, James.
I don't really talk a lot about my whole film background too much on our show. As a matter of fact, I almost never mention it. But I went to film school at Columbia University, and I did an independent film, shot it in Brooklyn. So I know about shooting on location in New York City. And actually, I feel like it's been quite a long time since I feel like I've seen something shot on location in New York City. And
So you thought that was New York for sure?
Well, I saw the World Trade Center. I mean, unless it's green screen. I mean, those subway
Right.
stations were. I mean, I don't live in New York City right now, but I spent over a decade living in New York City. So.
I mean, it looked really real. I mean, it didn't seem like green screen to me. And it also just had that gritty feel that you don't really see in K-pop videos. It's not a set for sure. Or it didn't feel
agree.
like it anyway.
And that kind of verite New York filmmaking, I was inspired to get into filmmaking because of filmmakers like Spike Lee and Jim Jarmusch and Martin Scorsese. And I feel like the style of this video reminded me of things that like were from a long time ago back in the 90s when I was really inspired to get into independent filmmaking and the look of New York City. I feel like a lot of people moved on from that, and this really brought it all back to me. I was really surprised, and I felt a lot of nostalgia. I don't know if other people would feel that, but I felt that because it reminded me of like why I fell in love with New York City, why I love films that are shot on location in New York City. New York City just has such an incredibly awesome look to it. What did you think? What were some of your first thoughts?
I mean, I'm with you. I'm feeling kind of emotional right now, actually. I mean, it did feel really nostalgic. It did feel really melancholy and sad to me, honestly. I mean, it really did feel kind of like a goodbye to his fans, at least temporarily. We know he'll be back and he'll be active, but it just, I don't know. I felt like there was like an undercurrent of sadness. I was expecting this to be like, happy J-Hope. I thought there was going to be some cool dancing going on, but there wasn't as much of that. And so
Yeah, this wasn't chicken noodle soup by no means.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So there was kind of like this feeling like maybe it would be one of those kind of hip hop like bangers. It's like a lot of dancing, a lot of choreography. And it starts off right away kind of reminding me a little bit of like Astronaut with a child involved in the video. We kind of thought that in Astronaut the kid was symbolic of Army, and maybe this was another one of those. You have the theory of the whole send-off video, which is not an official thing, but if that is something that they're kind of quietly doing, that using children as a means to symbolize Army and having that kind of parting of ways, that's sort of bittersweet. It's like we're gonna be apart, but it's still sort of like, it's not tragic, it's just sort of bittersweet.
Wait, where does the child, that I totally missed that. Where does that happen? Is it in the
Right
very
at the
beginning?
very beginning, like he's in an alleyway, and we slowly come up to him, and he's like there's a kid, and then they sort of part ways.
You're right.
For all of you viewers out there who have some thoughts and ideas, please share them with us in the comments. We enjoy the forum of hearing what other people have to say about this. And if you like our videos, also don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Do you want to share screen and show that for a second? Rewatch that. You're right. There is a child there. I totally missed that. But yeah, that was definitely a theme in Astronaut as well. I mean, another thing I noticed too is he's not really rapping a lot in this. I mean, he's mostly singing here. And he's saying always for us. I mean, it definitely feels like it's an ode to his fans.
Well, the thing that I was most stricken by at the beginning after seeing that kid was that he was singing.
Right.
And I was like, oh, what's going on here? It's J-Hope singing. I'm not used to that. And so that was such a huge departure.
I mean, this is kind of more of a melodic rap, I guess. I mean, it's sort of rap-like, but it's certainly a departure from his, arson and other styles of rapping.
Like that shot right there that you paused on, I mean, people may or may not know this, but in order to accomplish shooting on location in New York City, it's extremely difficult for it to look like that calm and on any given time of the day on any given street in Manhattan requires a lot of blocking off of traffic. Well, I mean, they obviously had some people in the background to look like real people, but that's not just accidental. They weren't just turning on the camera and having just people there. I mean, maybe because Korean production crews are famous for being able to shoot so fast. And they just do everything in one take. So maybe they're just, okay, there's nobody walking shoot right now. But I highly doubt that's the case.
And it's also a real departure, like I was saying, from K-pop. Because usually K-pop videos take place in a fantasy land. And this is like, I felt like this is like, oh, this is reality, you know, and that's pretty rare in a K-pop video. I mean, not so much in a hip-hop video, but...
Well, because we're also dealing with hype here. Recent New Jeans comeback had very high quality cinematic visual styles in the video. You know,
and a much more down to earth kind of, also not a fantasy kind of.
Exactly. Not necessarily total reality, but it had
a
realism. It had a realism quality in it. And the director was obviously a very accomplished and polished filmmaker, one with a style and all that. And this video has that same feel, like this is a accomplished filmmaker's work here, and you know, it's not cheesy in any way. This is just it's stylized and it's cool and it's hip, but very different from the New Jeans videos. But I do feel like Hybe, their quality of work is the gold standard.
Again, then there's the subway scene. You see the subway scenes in RM's Still Life video too. And I don't know, that I think just the idea of traveling. I mean, you see subways a lot in K-pop videos in general, but I think that's a way to connect with like the everyday man or the everyday woman, you know, has to take, you know, modes of transportation. And, you know, there's this idea of movement and, you know, him moving on to a next phase in life.
It is curious that we're seeing connections to the fellow BTS members' solo work, whether it's the subway in RM's Still Life or the child in Jin's Astronaut.
Right.
So noticing these like similarities, it could be just purely coincidental, or it could be in fact that the members are maybe they're communicating with each other. Maybe there's like, or maybe Hybe has a concept for all of them that they want to like. They want there to be some connections between all of their solo work.
Yeah, what did you think of the rap, the guest artist J. Cole? I mean, I was really surprised to see that. And that rap too was pretty serious. I mean, it was, you know, I thought it was pretty deep. I was very struck by the sincerity, and it did feel very much about like it had a socially conscious message, I thought. It seemed to be about linking with the community. I mean, he had his own spin on it that was different from J-Hope for sure. But it wasn't a throwaway rap. You know what I mean? You know how sometimes when there's a guest rapper and you could tell they might not have even wrote it, and it just seems so fluffy and whatever. But this did not feel that way. I mean, I felt like he was making a real statement.